Welcome back, guys, to my 16th part of this video tutorial series. In the last part, we ran into some issue. Basically, what happened last time was, like, remember, we have this edit feature. We developed this one, and then this drop-down list, it was bound correctly, but however, the corresponding category was not displayed as the first item of this drop-down list. Because I had I had issue. I spent almost like 5-10 minutes on this one in last video tutorial, and eventually once I close that tutorial and I figure out the cause of it, basically a simple typo. So remember here, this is our markup here, and this is our okay, here. This is our ng model attribute right here, and this product category ID here, and then the same product category ID here, and also into our model. So product category ID. So ideally, what was the issue was must be a typo or a spelling error. So in one of those, that was the whole cause. It took me a while to figure that out. So that was just a typo in my part. I really apologize for that one because I took almost 5-10 minutes figuring out why it was not really working. I mean, that's what really happens when you do a live coding. Anyway, so that part is now done, as you can see now. Let's say for this particular second row right here, the product category is new computer science book, and if I do edit here, as you can see, in this drop down list, new computer science books are the first item in the list. Okay, that is the one I wanted to point out for you guys from the last time. Okay, so today what we want to do is in this today's video tutorial, we're gonna put a click event to this button right here, and we'll have validation in the top. And let's see how far we can get there, how far we can go. Okay, let's go ahead and continue. This is my EJS file. I'm gonna go and convert that into HTML so that we can work it easily. Edit product parcel view. Go ahead and rename that file as HTML. Okay. I'm going to collapse this Explorer. Okay, now I have this button here. Of course, at this point we don't have a validation. Well, we even don't have event handler to our button. When I say button, I'm referring to this this edit button right here, this edit product. So let's go ahead and supply the event handler for that button. Okay, here is our button right here, and let's go ahead and apply click event data ng click, and let's define a method we'll define a method in controller called edit product. Let's give it name like that because that's what we are editing, and for this we're going to pass the product to be edited. Okay, so we're going to define this method into our controller. So let's go down here. This is edit current product right here. Let's write a method. Function, and we're passing the product information to that method. Okay, now we have the method. Very first thing we can do, we're gonna remember, like in our model window, if the user clears out the value into that text boxes or required fields, we want to make sure we want to give the proper message. Hey, those are required fields. We want to put those validation information here. So let's think about where we want to have that validation. I want to have this validation after this title here, edit product. After this, this is where I would like to have the validation message. And those validation messages can appear if, for example, user deleted this one and submit this button right here, we should have that message displayed because we don't have product name here. But the same thing for if they do not select anything for the category or something like that. Okay. How can we, if you remember from a while back, I wrote a validation control, a validation service sort of. We're going to tap into the same, and we have already the markup defined. Okay. I'm going to close this for now, and then so I'm going to have the validation around here. So I'm going to use the EJS pile include syntax here. So let me show you what I mean. So basically, I need some sort of. This is what I need because I would like to include that validation as a HTML into my page. Okay. So where I want that to be. This is my model window. This is the title. That's my button to close. And then I want to come. This is the title edit product. And this is where I want to have that. But in this case, it's not going to be the layout page, but we have a page called validation summary. The EJS page that we define for our, here, this is the one we want to have it. So I'm going to include that markup there. Validation summary. Okay, this is all we have to do. This is the EJS templating engine that we are using. That is that syntax. So what happens at runtime, this EJS template automatically replace the HTML inside that file into this area of our markup. Let's go ahead and save it. And then if we look into that validation summary, this is very simple. So it expects to have this object of validation result into our controller, in this case view a product controller, and this validation result will have a property called contains validation error. And based on that, and based on this guy right here, this message would be displayed if it exists. The message would be displayed right here. Okay. And of course, this is our order list. At the runtime, all the error would be basically using JQLite, which is just a jQuery, partial jQuery from the AngularJS, will be injecting those error messages into this ID. That's what it will be doing. Okay, that's all I have to say from this validation summary page. That is our common container. And okay, that is that. Let's go into. Okay, that part is now done. Now we can go into our controller, view product controller, and to be able to use that, like I said before, I need some. See right here, this is the object that is being referenced in that markup, in that validation summary EJS file. Is a validation result. This object contains two properties. Contains validation error. By default, it is being set to false, but if the error occurs, we will be setting it into true. And otherwise, and this is the message, the second property. Okay. So now we have defined our edit product. Very first thing I want to do, when the button gets clicked, just do a console.log. I'm going to log the product here. I just want to see that product contains all the property that we need to be updated to the backend database. Let's go ahead and save it. And let's refresh this page. I always do that, Okay, so as you know now what that was complaining about. So it is looking for this guy which doesn't exist. That's why it was barking about. Okay, save this guy and refresh the page. We should be okay now. And then edit product. And let me open this console window so that we can see what's going on in our code. And when I click the edit product, we should, for some reason, it says the product is undefined, which makes sense. You know why? It's not really a product. Let me show you what's going on here. When I to this method, we are passing the product, but here there is no reference to object called product. That only exists in our view product.ejs file. The object that we have here is, of course, this guy, product edit view. That is why it is, hey, I don't know. This is what we have to change it here. Let's go ahead and save it. And do edit. And then if I do something like that. Now, as you can see in the second object is basically, here is our product ID. We need the product ID, but product ID is 0. I can tell you why the ID is 0. It's we got a product category ID. Well, let's look at all the property that we have available. We need to fix this one, product ID, because we need to know the ID, because that unique identifier, based on that, we will be updating in the backend database. And all the other property exist. Okay, that's the first thing we have to fix to proceed further. To fix that one, let's go into our view product controller, and then when edit current product, just like we're gonna set, let me copy this. And it contains product ID property, and we're gonna set that dot product ID. Just by setting that, now we should be able to see the product ID in our console. Let's give it a try. Edit product, I'm going to hit the edit product button. Right here, the product ID is now available. We know the category, we know the the product name. All the other properties are already being set. We are now in a good step. We are now ready to write the validation logic. Okay, so I'm gonna, for now, let's put this log here, but as it works, we can get rid of that one. Very first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to say validation error messages. I'm define a variable, and then if you remember, we are injecting the service called require field validator service into our controller, which you can see from right here. All the dependencies. One of the dependencies require field validation service, and which is right here. So that service is now ready to be consumed by its client. In this case, us, right? So I'm going to tap into that object, require validation service, require field validation service, and it has a method called get require field validation error message. Required field validation error message. I have to double check with the spelling. And as a part of a parameter, it takes as a part of the function, we need to pass the array of array object containing the name of the property that we are trying to validate and the corresponding error message. Okay, so it contains array of objects, and that object will have two property. The first one is the name, and the name corresponds to one of our product name here. In this case, we can just say name, and just to be on the safe side, if that guy is undefined, we can pass it into a string. That would be undefined if there is nothing. User do not enter anything. That is our first parameter. And the second parameter is just the error message, whatever error message we would like to display. So this is more like a required field validation. So we're going to say product name is a required field or something like that. That is our error message. Okay. Just we're going to just test with this one. If this one works, then we're going to add all the other remaining property to. Let's put this into a separate line, and we will be adding more property right here. Okay. It's going to be a little longer method, so I'm gonna bring this down right here. Okay, and I can collapse this window so it will have more real estate to work on. So now what I can do is if this validation error message dot it is a oops this guy returns the array, so I'm going to say length. Otherwise is if the length is greater than 0 means there is an error. There is a validation error is missing. So in that case, we have to what we have to do is, of course, we have to display the error message, right? However, very first thing we have to do, we have this scope, and we have this object in the scope called validation result. Validation result, and the object validation result contains a property called Boolean property called contains validation message. Validation error message contains validation error. I think I have to double check on that one. Then I'm going to set that property to true. But basically, we identified, hey, there is a problem in your submission. You did not enter the product name that you were supposed to enter. Okay, that's why we set this property. And then, of course, now we have to now grab the error messages here. So we have array co-validation error messages. This is an array of object, and to this we can call Angular. This is an array we can call for each method here. Oops. For each, the for each method contains the, let's give it a name as a parameter to this callback function as error message. Okay, let's close it right here. We are basically iterating. We are going through each item in the error object, and on each iteration, what we're going to do is we're going to tap into Angular, and Angular has an element, and the name of that element we're basically dynamically going to create the HTML order list here. It's a kind of like a jQuery thing that we are doing here. And then we're going to set the HTML of that onto the HTML of the list. We're going to put the whatever the error message is. And then finally what we have to do is we have to append into the container the parent container. So we're going to call append to method. What the container, we need to know the ID of that container, and what we have done is we have basically injected that container also as a dependency. This is a validation error message ID. That's what we need. That is all we have to do. If everything is good, just by doing that, and then by not including the required field, we should start seeing the error validation message here. If we have a typo and stuff, we'll go ahead and fix it. So just for now, let's give it a try. Okay, so definitely there is a typo here. So unexpected identifier and view product controller, line number 135. Okay. It's pointing to error somewhere here. Doesn't know what the Angular is. Let's see. It's Angular. It's elements. Here's Angular. Angular has a method called element. Into the method, to the method we can give the markup, and we're going to call HTML method, and the error message that comes out, we're going to set it to that, and then we're just going to append to method with the validation error message ID. This is our container. Cannot find name Angular. Oh, let's see. Is that all our curly braces are closed correctly? This one is missing here. Maybe it's complaining about that. This is good right now. It is at least this says it cannot find the. It's trying to find the reference to Angular, which is okay. It should be able to find that. I think that it was complaining because it was missing that token, that this operator here. Let's give it up. Give it a try. And get rid of some data from here and edit product. Woo! Awesome. That's what I wanted to see. Okay. So now, of course, we have to fix this CSS here. Sorry for that, guys. Okay, there is a couple of bugs. By default, we need to clear this one. That it didn't do that. That's one bug. And then let me zoom it out. It's too big zoomed. Okay, so there is definitely a bug. I have to clear the container before I have to make sure the containers are set to HTML equals to empty string. Otherwise, like, it's repeating the same thing. Okay, that's another bug, but at least our validation is start working. Okay, but however, there is a bug here in our code. So I think the easy fix would be, by very first time, we can do something like Angular element, give this guy's ID here, and then perhaps by default the HTML of that would be set to empty string or something, so that might clear out, but I don't know, I haven't tested that code. Just let's see. I'm wondering that might fix this, this product name being repeated so many times. Let's refresh this page and then go to edit product, and let's get rid of that. Okay, if I do it again, oh, awesome! See, I'm clicking the button here, and then, well, if I open this again, yeah, that one is still didn't clear it out. But like, even if I click multiple times, it only displays once. That is good. At least one bug gone from the system. Okay. Now we can, just like this one, we can have validation for all the remaining properties. All we have to do is that we have 1, 2, 3, 5 total validation required. So I'm going to copy and paste this one here, and of course then I will have to modify it. That's 2, 3, 4. I'm missing comma here. It's going to complain. Comma right here, and then we have total 5 different items to be validated. Okay. The next property we need to validate is product price. And I'm just going to change the product price is a required field. And the next property we're going to change is going to be product selling price. Product selling price is required field. And next thing on product description. Product description is a required field. Actually, I don't need this one more line number 127. I don't need to validate the category because the category ID would be selected by default based on our design, right? So we don't need validation for this one. So we only need validation for full properties. And assuming there's no typo and stuff, we should have proper validation now. Of course, guys, it is very important that we don't rely as a client-side validation. That is just a hint. You always have to do a server-side validation. You don't rely on JavaScript only. Always the server-side validation. Well, the server-side validation is very, very important. Just a side note. Okay, let's go ahead and refresh this page, and then we go into edit product, and let's go ahead and get rid of that. Whatever, and whatever, all of them required. So it says product name is required, product price is required field, product selling. So basically now the user has hint. Okay, you just cannot submit without having this value properly set. Okay, this is our validation. That is good. So that is done by this piece of code right here. Sorry for that. Where you go. Okay, on edit product. So we have, if there is an error, this means if there is an error, we're going to handle that error. We're going to display the error message to our client. Otherwise, our data is at least clear. We are ready to submit to the service, AngularJS service. Okay, that is the next thing we will do in our next video tutorial. Hopefully, as you can see with the required field validation service that we have written, doing require field validation was pretty easy. I hope you now learn how to do require field validation to our AngularJS application. Thank you guys. Thank you so much for watching these videos. We'll in the next video tutorial, we'll be basically creating our service, AngularJS service, and we will be doing a configuration and eventually post those data, update data to the MySQL database. All right, guys. Have a good day. Until next time. Bye.